since I was 11 years old, so I'm kind of long time with that. Oops, I see that. Okay, guys, today I actually making some experiment. Let me just, yeah, I'm gonna remove. Yeah, I'm gonna remove. Guys, I was making experiment of going live to several, yeah. Let's see if it's working. I think it is working. Yeah, I was making experiment of going live simultaneously to Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Wow.
And yeah, and I applied for LinkedIn. I don't know, maybe like 3 weeks ago. I hoped that they already allowed us to go live, but seems like right now when I clicked go live, I got notification that LinkedIn still need to be approved. So it's okay. We probably right now we are going live to Facebook and YouTube channels simultaneously. We will see. It's interesting to try things. So let me see the topic, and the topic is wow. That's a powerful one. Who wants to start? It's overwhelmingly deep topic. So I'm gonna listen first.
Well, we've had lots of discussions, and actually this credit is due to Alice in really bringing this forward around awakening our awareness, and in this topic, for us to talk about maybe a little bit about what does awareness mean, and how do we create awareness, and what kind of awarenesses are there, but also kind of complementing this is this idea of mindfulness. And I know that that's a topic that a lot of people have been talking about. There's different feelings about this. Some people feel like it's a little too spiritual and, kind of this Buddhist concept. But there clearly it has been evidence to show how powerful mindfulness can be, especially in the times that we're in right now. And so part of this discussion really is about mindfulness and awareness, and how do they kind of work together? Does one create the other? I just throw out all these different questions, but really the essence of this conversation is truly around awareness. But how does mindfulness move into this space with awareness? So I put that back out to my friends and colleagues here.
Well, as a former scientist, fortunately former, but I still have a little bit of tendency towards defining terms. I know sometimes it's really tricky even to define it, but right now we're in the area of like a high abstract terms. So I would love to hear your opinion, first of all, how you understand what awareness is.
For me, awareness is the knowledge and consciousness of something. And then when I bring mindfulness in it, it's the quality of the state of awareness, or the state of consciousness that I have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And an example of that is the other day we were in a coaching, in the Go Booster coaching. And you asked me what was one of the things that might be holding me back when it comes to me launching my course. And I said, well, I think I'm afraid to do videos. Then you said, but you do videos all the time. You have many videos.
Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah.
And it brought a new level of awareness to it. I knew I did videos, and at one time, I was afraid to do them. But now, the consciousness and the awareness that I'm doing them all the time, I didn't have the mindfulness, the um, I guess the state of the quality of my awareness, that I had moved from a fear maybe to actuality. And I had to be aware of it because I was doing it. But my state of awareness was what had confused me. And it made me stop and think, what else in my life have I been using as an maybe excuse to keep from doing something? Was I not aware that things had moved from maybe fear to actuality? And I just hadn't made myself aware of it. I hadn't been mindful enough to become aware of it. I was still using it as an excuse for moving forward. And I don't know if that really makes sense, but that just clicked when you told me that. That was really, I was like, how can I be afraid, hesitant to do videos when we do them every week? And it brought a new sense of awareness for me.
That's a nice example. Yeah, because when you mentioned, I really afraid doing video, and I just recently, maybe like 20 minutes before we went to the training, I looked at our YouTube page, and it's like the 30 or 40 videos, and you are everywhere. It's like, wow, how come? Yeah, it seems like you forgot to update your belief. That's
Yes, I did. My awareness.
yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Alice. Irena, what can you say about awareness? What is your understanding for you? What is it?
That's a wonderful question. Awareness is knowing really who am I without story, ideologies, culture, religion, any of these things. Who am I? And mindfulness is related with the capacity of seeing things without judgment when I am thinking and when I'm not thinking, both. When there are thoughts, emotions, sensations, and other experiences, and when it seems that they are not there, the ability to stay still, whatever it is, and let everything be as it is. Does that make sense? It seems to be all.
You put me personally in trance. Using when you said, like what it is, and yeah, those type of things, global, and yeah, my mind getting completely blank, and it's a good thing. I think it does make sense.
Thank you. This means that I can evoke with me and with other people. So that's great.
Yeah, I think your definition of awareness is probably kind of hit some button inside of me. And okay, and yeah, let me try to formulate, because I never really kind of tried to formulate it how I understand it. Well, obviously, my understanding of awareness, if I put it, I would try to put it in my own words. I would say it's something related to remembering. And by remembering, I don't mean remembering anything from my personal history or anything related to some kind of identity related, like not remembering something in my experience as Alex Krapov, yeah, but remembering who is perceiving. And this is kind of tricky thing, because I can, like, because of training, because of meditation, many years of meditation, I can be in a place where when I look at everything around me, I look from the point of kind of silence, maybe not as global silence as it's supposed to be, but still silence kind of deep enough to not associate the one who look at all those things is actually have anything to do with Alex. I mean, I'm aware of place where something which is able to perceive does not have identity at all. I don't even know what it is, but I know there is such a place. And when I remember who is really watching, I mean, you could call it spirit, I don't know, something kind of which has no name, and I believe actually cannot even speak. I don't think language is part of that point which is able to perceive really kind of everything. So when I'm remembering that particular source of perception, that's full awareness, or at least much higher awareness than any other point, because all other points for me blended with some kind of associations, memories, life experiences, all that stuff, which if I'm in the right point, like a really deep enough, there are no associations, no judgments, no culture, no, it's just a pure perception. And that's, for me, that's awareness. I don't know if it makes sense, my explanation.
Yes, I mean, to me, that's for me, when I'm at that point that you're describing, it's usually in my meditation. And it is like I'm there. There's nothing else. It's just that moment in time. And even though it's just that moment in time, that moment is every moment. I mean, it's tiny, but yet it's so big, and it's a stillness. And that when I can get to that place in meditation, it's not the awareness I was speaking of earlier, which is I would call a worldly awareness. This one is more, I would say spiritual. I have to say spirit. It's a spiritual awareness of being in that moment at that time, and all is right, and it's just that point in time. So yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Very nice, precisely. That's when you describe it, I totally can relate, because when you have that type of awareness, to be honest, nothing else exists. Or I would say everything is exist. I mean, it's kind of really paradoxical kind of type of thing. And maybe when we descend that kind of awareness to our like a normal life, when we are still operating as human beings with the identity things, maybe just kind of degree. I mean, for me, when we downgrade that awareness to a little bit lower, it's not lower, it's just maybe, yeah, it's like a intensity, maybe less. It for me, awareness become like noticing, just ability to notice.
Yeah.
That's how it manifests itself on a normal kind of operational level.
Yeah. And so how could we, if we could find a way to awaken that awareness where we're at that point, if we could bring that more into our lives, it would be so powerful. It would be so life changing if we could. Because when I meditate and I'm at that point, I can't hold it for a long period of time before it's gone. But if we could find a way to awaken that awareness in more parts of our lives, that would be awesome. John, Irene.
Exactly. I was about to shake John because I think he's hiding somewhere.
I'm thinking, it's because I'm connecting with everything that you all are saying, and there's a sense that, the idea that many of us are kind of sleepwalking, that we're on this autopilot type functioning, right? We're constantly thinking about what we have to do next, and what, and do we really get anything done? And what are we learning about ourselves in those moments if we're constantly just thinking about the next thing? And so, what was coming up for me is this idea that when we are able to be in that present space, that present moment with ourselves and in that quiet, I do wonder, because I know for myself that when I then kind of go back into the world, I am more awake. I am able to notice things. I am able to see things even more deeply. I'll share with you, it somewhat connects, but I was out having coffee. My stories, and I always have one, but it was just yesterday, and I was out on my deck, and I was drinking my cup of coffee, and it was very quiet, and I was really trying to be very present. And all of a sudden, this beautiful yellow butterfly came over, and I'm watching it just, fly around, and it just seemed very happy. I just don't know how to explain it. And it went over to the flowers that we have, and it stood there, and I was really just in that moment, seeing the beauty of that moment. What was fascinating about that situation is that when the butterfly flew off and flew away, I had this moment of saying, wow, here's a butterfly whose lifespan is very short. And yet, and what it has to deal with in terms of predators in the world around it, the wind, the storms. I mean, here's where I watched this butterfly. But what I took away from is I began to ask myself questions related to the butterfly. It sounds bizarre, but what happened was I said, how am I living my life? This little thing has a very short existence. But yet what I saw was this flitting around and this joy in finding the nectar of this flower, really in that moment enjoying life. And so I sat there and I began to ask myself the question, how am I living my life? Am I looking at joyful things, or am I looking at the negative things? I really began to go deep into this, and I just happened to have my journal there. But my being present in that moment and watching that butterfly and just being there, and how that actually created an awareness in myself about how am I living my life? I don't know how much time I have in this world, but yet that butterfly in that moment made me ask that question, and I created deeper self-awareness. And what I also came out of this was, which had really nothing to do with it, is I realized that I don't have this sense of humor that I used to have. I don't have this lightness that, and again, it's about where you were talking about, Alex. It's remembering. It's not that it went away. It's not that it's gone, but it came back to me in that awareness to say, I want to live more lightly. I want to be more joyful. I want to have more humor in my life. That was a moment where I created awareness through being very present in that space that I was in. I don't know how that connects with everything, but as you all were talking, I kept thinking about the butterfly, and so then it was up to me to wake up and not sleepwalk anymore. And so now in these quiet times, I'm asking myself, how am I living? Am I using my sense of humor? Am I being lighter, while the world outside me may not be that light and bright. So anyways, I wanted to share that because that was this interesting moment of in essence, simplicity. It was just sitting there. But if we allow ourselves to notice things, we can create that awareness within ourselves.
Wow. Okay. I mean, what comes to my mind when you just allowed us to get into your story is that some kind of old classical stories about when someone is ready to in a spiritual way, kind of to make a step, the teacher will appear. I mean, in your case, no, I'm not saying that it was kind of huge leap, but what I mean is that anything could be a teacher. I mean, the butterfly, you know, if you used kind of butterfly to as a moment of being present, and it's incredible. It's very nice. I mean, we're supposed to have those moments. Everyone's supposed to have plenty of those moments. It's amazing how we are not. Irene.
I know. I was looking at Irene. I'm watching her.
We all are.
I was lost in imagining this yellow butterfly
Yeah.
and the trees, and nature has this enchanting power to bring us in the present moment, and working into the nature is one of the mm, the things that I use to evoke the awareness, because this evocation and being in the nature make me feel this sense of not separation between all, let's call it creation. Maybe this terminology is not for all, but I have not anything better now. um, and to me, sometimes this kind of master came in any of the situation, especially now, that I think, how can I live beyond what it is and give value to this world with my gifts, my strengths, my talents. And well, I think that all we are doing is about that. But even for small things, for example, my cats, how do they live? They are meditative animals. They are quiet, calm, anytime. But they have something. Yesterday, my nephews went to their holidays, spent time with my sister into the beach. They went there, and the cat noticed that someone was missed in the house, and he came into the house, usually stay outside, and look for the people, and look at me and say, like questioning, there is someone that is missed here, and was looking for all the rooms. And I say, wow, how intelligent are animals? How aware was this cat to look for my nephews, that spent time to play with them and just cuddle. And I think that when we feel overwhelmed, we lose the sense of the simplest things that are, as you remind us, John, the masters of awareness.
Well,
Simple things like love.
exactly. Nature somehow and what's around us, in some ways, I know maybe they don't have that kind of mental capabilities, or what we like the part of the brain which we use a lot, but at the same time seems like that part at the same time separator. I mean, something we could be completely almost like some kind of veil between us and functioning in harmony, which seems like nature has no problem with, but we do.
Well, when John was talking about how he remembered that he wasn't laughing anymore, that happened to me recently. I told someone, I said, I used to laugh all the time. I mean, everything was funny to me. I laughed, every day I laugh. And I realized I haven't been laughing the way, that awareness of something was missing. And I remember it's my laughter. This pandemic, this lockdown the things that I'm not aware of, the level that maybe is affecting me emotionally because I'm functioning. But I remember that I wasn't laughing the way I normally do. I just the joy, the joyfulness in my spirit wasn't there. And I kept thinking, if I could just get to the water and sit and look at the water and look at the beach and just hear the water beating against the rocks, I could find my laughter again. So for me, nature, I was raised on a farm in the country, and one of my favorite things was to take this walk down through the woods. And I had a little stream I sit by, and I watched it and would watch the water run over the rocks. And it was that same oneness, that same peace that we talked about earlier. But I was much younger, and a lots of the world hadn't contaminated me, my mind. I was much younger, and I would sit as a child and watch that. And I would have that same peace that it takes now, maybe 5, 10 minutes of meditation before I could get there. It was just as simple as walking down there into the woods and sitting by that stream and watching it and listening to the water and the birds. And I was at that oneness. And I was aware without knowing, really thinking about what awareness was. I was aware of everything, but yet concerned about nothing.
Well, guys, can I ask you like maybe kind of provocative question? Not provocative, but yeah, like why would we like? Why do you think? Because the way we use the title, like what the message is embedded already that awareness is something really precious, and everyone looking for it, and somehow maybe have a lack of it. But I mean, can you articulate why do we need to even bother? I mean, about awareness. Like I remember one story. I don't remember which maybe it's a Buddhist story, maybe it's like a Sufi. But there was a story about the guy who learned that next day in the city all water will be kind of poisoned and everyone will go crazy. So he kind of heard some kind of a conversation between, I don't know, maybe gods or whatever. But the point is that he decided not to drink, and then the whole city got crazy. And he was the only one who was sane there. So after a while, after day 2, 3 week, 2 weeks, he realized that he's so lonely and so alone that he came to that whale kind of well, and decided to drink the water himself in order to join everyone, just not to be alone. I'm just curious, what awareness? Why do you think it is important for us to have it, to kind of to pursue it? Anyone can articulate it? I'm very curious about that.
For me, it's that the reason I pursue it, the reason it's important to me is even though I might can't hold it, that moment in time, for me, once I felt that moment in time, it's almost like an addiction, and I want more of it. So I'm constantly, I'm pursuing it to have more of that moment, to enlarge that moment, maybe into an hour, maybe into a day. And I think when I can do that, and as I do that, my whole my whole spirit, my whole self moves to another level of understanding, of kindness, of love, of being non-judgmental. So for me, that's why, because I have tasted it and I want more of it. So I pursue it. It's like I'm an addict to it now. That is what I want, that point to be my whole. I want that moment to be my whole day. That's why I pursue it.
Proudly announcing yourself as an addict. Very
Yes,
nice.
an addict to pursuing awareness.
Hey, good explanation, Alice. So, who is next?
Irene, go ahead, and then I'll go after you.
Sure.
I
Yes.
love your gentleman side. um, I can second everything Alice said. So you know now that I am another addicted. um, well, I think it's beautiful being addicted of joy, because awareness bring me much more joy and enjoyment of what it is. Because without label, you don't see negative and positive. You see um, a thing that you can learn, you can observe, you can enjoy, and um, it seems to be something impossible for many people, especially now, but it is real. This is the reality, the capacity to see things as lessons, as life, as joy, as enjoyment. And we
Mhm.
can be addicted.
Well,
So, I am,
no, we are not judging. Neither me nor John. We are not judging you guys.
and
It's a,
no, Alex, it's okay. It's good, because this kind of addiction has no side effects.
Exactly, exactly. It enlarges the world. It brings peace. I mean, it's that beauty. It's This is a good addiction.
yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I think it has side effect. You like you become. It seems like you both kind of cheerful and happy. Yeah. It's side,
This is a good thing, Alex.
yeah.
I think that this the only virus that is really meant to be spread.
Exactly, exactly.
John.
So,
Now.
I'll share something I wrote down. It's not my words, but I thought this was a powerful statement when we were talking about awareness. Generally a quote from this gentleman named Trinley Rinpoche, who, of course, I think is one of the lines of Buddhist monks. But I think it's important because what he says is that, awareness is around gaining a deeper sense of self-awareness. When we do that, we stop being strangers to ourselves and we begin to develop more compassion, patience, and resilience. And I love this idea that with awareness, especially self awareness, we become friends with ourselves. We are with ourselves. We are no longer strangers. And I think that unfortunately may be an addiction in this world, is that people are strangers among themselves. Um, but when we are able to create self-awareness, then we open ourselves up to that compassion, to that kindness. I mean, I know Alice was talking about this, but I love when they also talk, he also talks about patience and resilience.
Mhm.
That really is quite powerful. And so I wanted to share that because I very much believe that particularly self-awareness is so important. It's so important because it does allow us to see who we really are and acknowledge how important joy is in our lives and how important humor might be in our lives. You know, these sweet, I'm going to call them sweet addictions. But the cause and effect of that self-awareness is how are we going to show up in the world? You know, being compassionate to ourselves, but also being compassionate to others. So I wanted to share that kind of little reading that I came across about awareness.
So side effects are quite powerful. Compassion. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put my understanding, like why I am into that, into the increasing awareness, because somehow my way was almost like a developing story. I mean, I went to the martial arts in early kind of age, and we were asked to like, okay, you need to meditate, and it's kind of good thing. I have no idea why it's good thing, but I started to not just practice it, mainly practice it, but decided, okay, I need to read a little bit about that. And what I read, the first book, I read books of Osho. I mean, I think it's a Bhagavan Sri Rajneesh, but it's well known in a Western kind of world as Osho. And I also read some books of Suzuki. I think Dr. Suzuki, he's like a Zen Chan Buddhism or Zen Buddhism, and Aurobindo. It's another Indian kind of source of the philosophy about that. And what I discovered very quickly that in some religions they call it no man land. So when I started to meditate, like a first month, 2, 3, maybe like half a year, I was meditating and like, okay, what am I doing there? There is nothing there, nothing. And so like I was not sensitive enough in order to feel anything like any kind of presence. So it's just nothing. And some like in Aurobindo books, they call it that particular period when you just started meditating, they call it no man's land, meaning it's kind of space where you don't really feel anything yet, but you kind of lost your normal way of functioning, but haven't gained sensitivity to what is there yet. And what I very quickly discovered, and that's what I was hooked, as you said, addicted to. I discovered that when I said nothing is there, it was not really true. I started to feel incredible energy there, almost like something vibrating power. And so it was not nothing. So being at that space, like a deep quietness, filled with that power. So when I get back, I felt energized. I felt fresh. I felt I felt almost like pumped with some kind of high quality energy. Just you could explain it in many different ways. Maybe you just stop, kind of your mind stopped working for a while, so you're not spending energy, you're accumulating it. There could be hundreds of different explanations, but the fact, after that practice, I felt amazing, and I felt like my energy is increasing. So as a result, I got addicted to the source of energy, which is there in that kind of empty, so-called no thought space. So that was my like a very practical, seems like not very conceptual, but practical way of why I continued, and I really like to meditate and to bring awareness higher, because I think that it actually gives enormous amount of energy. Yeah, so that was my side, kind of why I found it kind of important to continue this practice. So everyone has different explanations and maybe reasons.
You are addicted.
Yeah, exactly, precisely. No, I decided kind of not to emphasize it at that point when you but yeah, I'm definitely joining you in that kind
And
of addiction. Yeah,
it's such a peacefulness and such a, like you say, there's nothing there, but everything is there. And
yeah,
at that moment, you are completely aware. I mean, for me, I can feel my fingernails, I can feel every joint in my body, but I can feel nothing. I'm completely aware of everything, yet nothing.
yeah,
And I know when I come from there, it's kind of, maybe that's why Irene and I were kind of giddy. We got a little touch of awareness.
yeah,
We were laughing, and you come out and you can be better. I can show up better in the world. I can have more patience. I can be more forgiving. I can think before I react. But if I stay away from that for a long period of time, I laugh less. Um, I don't give, I don't show up as who I am. So recently I've started meditating more because I want to show up better. And it's just, it's really for me, it's a addictive high. I mean, once you feel it, you going to seek it again, you know. I read one time that the reason people become addicted to drugs, they're always chasing that first high. And that's how that awareness and that point in meditation is. I'm chasing that high. I want to get back in that space. And when I'm in that space, all is right with the world. And when I come out, I can see the world differently.
yeah. Well, one of the things which comes, I don't know, being in that space kind of long enough, it has also, I don't know how to explain it. It has some interesting effect because like when I was there, I come to very kind of deep understanding that, like, for example, I am not my thoughts, or, I'm not my body either. So being in that specific space, as I said, practicing remembering who is actually perceiving, that gives a totally different, I would say, perceptual point, that it's not Alex is perceiving. It's not when you have thoughts, you could notice them. It means that the one who noticed actually was not thinking. So every time it's like every time you are kind of creating space between the one who is perceiving and everything else. When you notice everything in your body, means that you are not your body, obviously. Or when you notice your thoughts, you are not your thoughts. You stop identifying yourself with all those things, and that's I think that's a powerful, remarkable effect. You become kind of easy with all those things because they are not you. They are not as dramatically important, and as a result, you become happier, and whatever. It's like, yeah, there is really interesting development when you are meditating and go really deep enough. It gives you automatically somehow completely different perception on everything. That's how I explain it. So where we are, I mean, we I think we lost, in the ocean of addiction. We probably shared, all the aspects of it, and now what? Where we are going from here, Jim?
From here to eternity.
Eternity. John, what do you think?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, go ahead, Irene. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
well, it
Irene.
was a really fascinating conversation, and I think I can go further for a while, and because I'm now addicted because we are sharing with this energy of awareness and the not emptiness, let's say in that way.
Mm.
And it is amazing. And how can we, my question is, how can we replicate more and more with ourselves and others? That's what
Well,
makes me feel a sense of really well-being.
Mm.
I'm feeling very well now.
Mhm.
well, I have a theory. Thank you for bringing that question, Irene. Well, I don't know. Maybe I picked it up again from some kind of reading, but somehow that idea was resonating. I believe the consciousness or awareness kind of contagious thing, and the best way to move it forward is to keep it and practice, yourself. I do believe that when you have people around you who are aware, they will make you aware. I mean, and they don't need to do anything in order to do that. It's kind of that kind of virus which I'm looking forward to have, and see around more and more. I think that those people who are maybe not enlightened, but kind of more aware, they are spreading it, and this is the best way to do it.
That is so powerful, because what I was thinking about was, Irene talking about the energy that was going on in this conversation. But I think it also is a testament to the fact that I do believe that, particularly because we're all coaches, that have we have probably gone down and through this journey of creating more and more self-awareness in ourselves as we work with our clients in creating self-awareness. But when you have 4 people on the screen who really try to embody and embrace awareness, there is power there. And I think that's the testament to the energy that goes on here. And even in those quiet moments, I was really aware of when we all got very quiet. That is part of that process. It's that process where we were actually being very mindful. We were going into that present state of just sitting with whatever was happening in that moment. So this is kind of witnessing the power of being present, and also witnessing the power of awareness. So that's really, the big takeaway for me is what happened in the past, 50 minutes that we've been together. It's very powerful.
I agree, and we could easily continue to keep silence kind of for next 50 minutes.
Yeah.
I believe I believe that eventually I can easily see us, at some stage, of course, when we will explain people kind of what is going on, but we could just come here and that's it. Don't need to talk.
Yeah.
And that's going to be our practice, our contribution to the to the world. The keeping that space of maybe not perfect awareness, but at least kind of the highest we can produce, I would say, because I think there is a huge depth into how deep you could be. I mean, but because of the practice, everyone like 4 of us can get somewhere in our, and if you just keep that for a while, for half an hour maybe, it's interesting what kind of effect it's going to be.
Yeah. Because, like, right now, I feel like I have been meditating, and I mean, the energy for the whole pretty much 20 minutes. and there's a calmness, and the rest of my day, I know it's going to be awesome. I know it is, you know. I can feel it. My mind have shifted. My body, I can feel it in my body. And, you know, I've always, when I first got into coaching, I was told never tell uh, someone how you coach, show them. And I think today that's what we've done. We've actually shown how how coaches are by coaching each other in a way, or by becoming aware, talking about awareness. We move to a whole different uh, set place of energy, positive energy. And we're doing it with all of us in different places, looking at a screen. So, can you imagine if people learn how to do this and can do it when they're in the present, talking with other people one on one, face to face? If we can transmit this kind of energy throughout, you know, from Spain, Italy, DC, Mississippi, and we're all feeling the same energy. I mean, I'm happy.
Share very similar. I find the last like a 20, 30 minutes kind of very easy to meditate. It's almost like induced. Irene, I told you that I'm getting to blank, you know, so that it's like I feel that four of us producing that kind of, you know, field. Yeah, which makes it very easy, almost drawn towards to meditation. So I kind of cannot be bothered to talk.
Well, I just second the statement of Alice. What could happen if we were in the same room?
Mhm.
I think some kind of nuclear explosion or something. I'm joking, joking. No, it's something very quiet and nice, you know. Of course, not loud and this
Yeah.
like a,
No, I understand the metaphor is in terms of the greatness of the
cumulative effect, exactly.
This would be what would be this would be the virus that would heal the virus that we have, this positive energy, because I believe positive energy and positivism, when you're positive inside, you can heal what's going on inside. So I think this could be the kind of energy that would do that, could bring the world closer together. If they could get this kind of awareness that this is actually out there. People are not aware that this is out there, that it's available.
Yes.
Well, I hope, you know, people are more and more aware, because I think that information is kind of popping up kind of more or less. And I hope that we have, I don't know, 500,000 coaches, and they're all about, you know, bringing, you know, help and do some almost spiritual type of work. I think yeah, I think people are hopefully become more and more aware of that. And so are you okay with to finish our talk? Because yeah, I could easily kind of not to, but eventually we're supposed to finish, no?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, the topic is good. I liked it, and we explored it. We tried to explain it in our own words, how we understand it, and we get into the very special place where, yeah, it's almost like about really feel it and bring it to the real practical, level, because I think it is a very profound kind of type of living when you are getting deep enough or bring awareness to the higher level. It's a very, very different type of living where you have choices.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you very much, and we will discuss later what will be our next topic, and see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks,
So,
everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
and